The strap can be a little tricky to work with because we're using more pieces of twine and because I don't want the knots in them. So we're a lot of times be dealing with shorter pieces of twine to strap them together or to splice them together. So I started with a loop, just like I would for the regular baling twine rope. Now what I'm going to do is braid it, keep braiding it, but as I'm braiding it, I'm going to incorporate pieces of the actual bag into the braid so that the strap is braided into the bag. So I want to find my pieces. These are a little thicker right now because of when I folded it over, I still have some of those short pieces. So I just want to untangle the twine. So I have everything apart. I have my loop. Now what I do is take the right hand pieces and put them under the next part of the bag. So I just literally fold them over, then braid one row of your braid where you've got your over and under from both sides, so that you're incorporating that, and you're switching the sections of the braid. That will be the one that wraps around the bag. Once you get going with this, it's easier. It's a little cumbersome at first. And then when you get to your corner, again, just keep doing the same thing. Just rotate the bag and keep going with your braid. Okay, I've got a knot here in one of the pieces. I'm going to cut it out. Take the end piece that I cut, and just kind of tuck it in under that last piece so I can keep braiding everything together. So on the sides, try to find your spine. Okay, maybe the looped pieces. And there's going to be 4 of them, so if you're wondering where the pieces went, these are our loops that we found off, not really the rows and the columns. But if something looks, so this one, there we go. I'm going to start down here at the bottom. I'm not going to go up to this loop yet. I'm going to do one braid through here at this bottom to get some stability here at the corner. Now, this next one I'm going to do under the 4. And here's another knot. It's got about 2 inches there, which is good working distance. I can get it incorporated in so that it doesn't really, it's not something extra to worry about, it's just continuation of. Under again. I'm still going under 4 pieces of the rope twine. Those are the loops that we bound off. If you miss one, it's not that big of a deal, because you're still gonna have that strength from the other 3. I'm just working my way up the side of the bag. And if I keep pulling this tight, then it keeps everything together. Okay, here's a loop that it looks like I probably could have got in there somehow, but I'm not worrying about it, because when we're done braiding and when we shape the bag, everything will adjust anyways. Just keep your overs and unders. The right hand strands going through the bag. Okay, and knot again. I'm going to take care of that right here. Okay, it gets tighter towards the top of the bag, so it can be tough to feed everything through, but again, if you leave a little bit of a looser weave, then there's some play between the rows and columns, and you can find the space to work with. Okay, before I get to my loop up here, I want to make sure that I've got everything below it a good secure seam up the side of the bag below it, because who knows what you might be putting in these bags. Maybe your kids will put rocks in them, and you might need a good strong bag. Alright, and so this is where my tail end piece is too. So I'm going to make sure I take care of that. I have looped it through as well. I created a loop and just looped it through. So for right now, that's what I'm going to do. Just work with that loop, all the loops. And I'll worry about that tail in a minute. Okay, I'm coming up to another knot here. And actually things get a bit easier from here because you will just be braiding for the shoulder strap part of it. I'm just going to braid a few rows and then come back and take care of that tail piece. Okay, so for the tail piece, just do whatever makes sense to you. I don't like big knots, so I tend to just try and tighten it down any way I can and then just weave it through to avoid big knots. You can weave it through the spine or just weave it through the actual bag. What I'm going to do is just tuck it under here because I have a loop. Cut it about here. Push that through this loop. I'm not worried about it coming undone because it is part of, it is hooked into the spine of the bag. So what I am going to do is weave it through the top bound off layers. I'm going to circle them back and just keep going with that until I'm out of it, which didn't take very long. Now if you don't like these fringe pieces like that, just trim them off. I'm going to wait to do that until the end so that when I'm pulling it and working with it, I know just how. I don't want to cut it too short too soon. So it will be better to wait till the end. Okay, now as far as the length for your shoulder strap goes, it depends on how long you want it and who you're making it for. So if the twine that you have is not long enough, you can just add on extra pieces to make it the length you want. This, I think I'm probably going to end up going, so if I'll only have this part and it won't finish my bag because we're going to go down this side the same we came up this side as the spine and meet our original loop here. So now I'm just going to braid for a few minutes. I'm going to cut out knots as I go because I don't want knots in it. And then when I've decided that it's a good enough length for me, then I will start weaving it, making the spine along this side of the bag. Same as I did on this side of the bag. So when we do the cloth bag, we'll put it on the frame a little differently, but the way that we weave it, and the way we put the strap on in the center while we're weaving it, and the way we do the spine for the shoulder strap will be the same as this. And the cloth bag is just old bed sheets that I've cut into about 2-inch ribbons and braided them into a rope the same that I do the baling twine. So you can see that I'm getting towards the end here, so I am going to be having to add more. And you can see the goodness of this is that most of them are different lengths, so we'll be adding in at different times, which is helpful, so that we're not all ended at one time. Okay, and there's one that's already ended right there. Okay, let me get some more twine. I'm going to keep going with the orange. I think I'm going to add it in before I have to add any more, or start on the spine for that other side of the bag before I have to add more twine in, so I can just incorporate the twine in while I'm working on that spine. Okay, then it's the same thing. We're going to just take the outside, the right hand side, the right hand strands of the braid and put them through the bag. Braid one row so that you have the new right hand strands. And just keep working down the bag. There's one right there, running out. Get piece in before I get into the bag. So you can see how it gets a little messy when we're adding so many new pieces of twine. But again, at the end, we can trim this stuff off and we can tuck it through. So around the corners, just do whatever seems right. Also, if you didn't like all this, if you don't want to have to go back and trim from all the pieces that we've added on, just make your strap the length of your twine. Or find some good pieces of twine that have the knots at the end so that you can cut them out before you even start beginning, so that you don't have to worry about that process. So we're almost there. Here's my loop that we started on. So now I'm just going through the bottom and I'm doing all these row pieces. It's easier working now because we have all the length now. We're not adding on any more pieces. We're just working with the 9 strands. Okay, so I'm at my loop. Gonna go through there just as if it was one of the row pieces that I was working with. Basically, I just incorporated it into the spine and I'm just keeping on going. I'm going to go for a few more times. I think I'll go a little further because it looks like this. Get that. Kind of anchor that down. So I'm still working with the loop from the strap loop, not the bag right now. Just incorporating this end of the strap into the first end of the strap. This is where it gets more creative in that there is no hard and fast way to find this off. Whatever you find works for you. Me, like I said, I do at the beginning, I just weave it through. But I have a knot here, so I'm going to cut that off. I'm not even going to worry about that. This is going to be my end. Now I'm going a little backwards, and I'm going to take my strands and just weave them in wherever I can. Weave them in willy-nilly so that they're just kind of forming their own knots. There's no predetermined braid to it. You're just weaving them into just tighten them off. And again, before you trim any ends and stuff off, just shape your bag and pull it tight so that you know where to cut. You're not cutting too short. Alright, so that's all three of the ends of my braid, my strap. Basically, here is your bag. And so now we'll just trim it up. So what I would have done differently is I would have caught this and braided that into my handle. But I missed that. But it would be an easy fix to just pull it in while you're doing the handle. It wouldn't be so easy now, but otherwise it's not a big deal. It doesn't do anything to the integrity of the bag. Shape it, pull it however you want it. Trim up your ends. There is your bag. This is the one from half of the frame compared to this one that used the whole frame. Here we are with our finished Baling Twine shoulder bag project. Here is the big one that used the whole frame to make the bag. Here is the Baling Twine one using half of the frame. And here is the cloth bag using half of the frame in landscape. That's all of them. All right. Have fun with this project. Be creative. Make it work for you.